Hey everybody, and welcome to the 9 Essentials of Web Success, Content Strategy, SEO, and Pay-Per-Click. First of all, thank you all for joining us. I'm Marjorie Gates, Digital Marketing Manager for Broad Street Consulting. I've been working with Broad Street for about 6 years, and just to recap, I do the Google Adwords, I do the content development, and a lot of the social media and other online marketing. Just to let you know, our GoToMeeting chat board's being monitored, so if you have any questions, just type it in there and we'll get back to it at the end. So without further ado, here is Tom Sliker.
Thank you, Marge. Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Sliker, and today is that third session in the 9 Essentials of Web Success. So hopefully we'll address these items: content strategy, SEO, and AdWords. We're going to talk quite a bit about how to be number one on Google, two different ways of approaching that problem. This is just a couple reminders. This is what web success is about. If you haven't seen the first video, check it out. Web Success Intro, bit.ly link there. Also, websuccess.guru will redirect you to our Web Success page. So you can find us there. So hopefully anything you've missed, if you haven't seen it, you're watching this one, you go back and watch the previous ones there. Our goal is to give you tools, techniques, ideas, and methods to make the most of your online presence and take advantage of those opportunities available to your business. We talked about this in the last couple sessions. Just briefly, the idea here is in your bottom right corner are people out on the internet looking for something, and how do you present yourself in such a way so that they hopefully find you. Maybe they take an interest in you, they become maybe your followers, and ultimately they become like prospects and ultimately customers. And as we've said, sometimes that happens in just a few seconds. Sometimes that takes weeks or months, depending on what you're selling and how important it is. On the left side, we start at the top with our website and our storefront, and those are two key things that most businesses start with. And I say storefront meaning location, wherever that is, an office. And then how these other essential items that we can kind of plug in and on top of these basic foundational elements, and use these things in such a way that strategically we are reaching the right people, being found, and ultimately increasing our number of customers, reaching new people, and improving our bottom line. So this is a chart we looked at previously as well. Today, we're going to be looking mostly at content strategy there in the bottom left, and then specifically how your content affects your search strategy. So we're going to be talking about how we can create blogs in particular today. We'll be talking about blogs, to a little lesser extent, maybe videos, but how producing content is essential to your search strategy. We'll see how that helps the two ways of being number one on Google, which is one through SEO and search engine optimization, and the other is by paying your way in pay-per-click or paid search. Okay, and that's Google AdWords. So those are that's what we'll be focusing on today. If you haven't already, hopefully you've seen the link to the Broad Street downloads page. So we've got those documents out there. We've got one each for the different strategies that hopefully you'll use for your business, that you'll just kind of use these as a guide to think about what you want to do, what are the actions that you might take, and what are your goals in all of these individual strategic areas. We've talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to review that. The key is internet is growing at 10% a year. Just the number of users, this is last year. But if you go all the way to the right here, the active mobile social users, that's where there's still substantial 30% growth. That's people who are moving around. They've got a mobile device of some sort, and they're social, meaning they like to share information with other people. We talked about how the website really should be the center of your marketing strategy, that the way you get ranked on Google has to do with how many other people out there on the internet are referring back to you. We talked about the need for mobile-friendly web design and other things that will make make Google happy, make the search engines happy, and ultimately help you to be found by people who are looking for just what you have. All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about this concept of the long tail. The long tail I explained, I believe it was last week, where the idea is, I'm just going to read this sentence here, but our culture and economy is shifting away from a focus on a relatively small number of hits toward the head of the demand curve and toward a huge number of niches in the tail. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about these niches out there in the tail and how important it is. One thing about the head is that you're competing with everybody, right? Everybody, if we look at the top 20 keywords on Google, if you get rid of all the ones that are brands, right? So things like Gmail, Craigslist, Amazon, Yahoo, and if you remove all pornography, these are the top 20 keywords that people are typing into to Google. And so, they're very general. They're very difficult to edge your way into a category of search where there's so many people already there. And so if you were trying to started a horoscope blog, you'd really have a hard time being on the first page because you're starting kind of late. However, if you're trying to sell, for example, used Mitsubishi Fuso transmissions, you might have an easier time being dominant in that very small niche way out here on the long tail. And so we're going to look at two examples today of how we could be number one on Google through taking advantage of that long tail. Content marketing. So the concept of content marketing is that we produce content, number one, down in the right corner. So we create something, we generate some information that hopefully is helpful to some segment of the population. Hopefully the people that we want to bring in as customers would be a good idea. But we promote our content in some way, and then we track visitors to our website, maybe through blog posts, through videos, articles, things that we are publishing. And then we bring them in, and we hopefully have something else to offer them. We try to gather some contact information. We get them to sign up for our newsletter, sign up for a webinar, download a white paper, etc. And then we bring them in a little closer, and maybe we can get more information, possibly a phone call consultation, and then we sign the deal. So that's kind of the general flow. It's not very different than how I laid it out in my diagram with the stick figures, but the same idea is that people kind of find you, and then you kind of bring them in closer and closer. So that's the idea of content marketing. To blog or not to blog, okay, that is the Shakespearean question. The answer, as you'll see today, is probably a good idea to blog. And I know it's a lot tougher for a lot of small businesses because they don't have a full appreciation sometimes of how much they know about a particular topic area. And so sometimes it's a challenge, but I'm going to give you a couple examples today of how we've been able to produce content for some of our clients that has really paid off, paid some dividends. On the content, the chart that I have, we talk about reviews, blogs, and videos, but really content can be much more than that. I just wanted to, I saw this chart and I thought it was worth mentioning. It's just a different way of looking at content, but you have your on-site content, which of course, anything on the website, the home page, landing pages, category pages, product description, these are all things that are on the site itself. And then you have this off-site. So you've got your emails and videos and social media and so forth. So there's other ways of looking at these things, but I just wanted to kind of give you the idea here is that we're talking about content, and mostly what we're talking about today is what I would call on-site content. What can you put on your website so that your website ends up coming up number one on Google? All right, so this is the Busby blog page, okay? Again, this is a guy selling transmissions and engines and things like that, and it was not easy getting these mechanics to come up with things to write about, okay? And most of ours actually came by interviews and just spending time with these guys, trying to really understand what kind of questions people were asking them. And so what we did was we kind of went by what are the questions they're getting at the sales desk, and could we answer those questions on the blog? And so that's what we did. And this is our most popular blog post, the NPR NQR transmission fluid requirements. It seems like kind of a basic thing, but there's you know there's no real good information on the internet about this, and so we provided that information, and we've had pretty good statistics, which I'll show you in a minute. So this is Google Analytics that shows 90 days of blog traffic, and you can see at the top there that 96,000 impressions just for these blog posts in 90 days. Okay, so that's over 1,000 times a day. These things are showing up in people's search results. And here's just the zoomed in version, but here at the top you can see that NPR NQR transmission fluid requirements. We have a 10% click-through rate, 9.57%. That means we've displayed those 18,000 times, and almost 1,800, 1,750. They actually, people click on them and they come look at our site. So uh, another way to look at this is those 1,700, or let's round it, or well, look at the total here, 8,000 clicks almost. If you take 8,000 clicks, our average cost per click for paid traffic is about 60 cents. So you could take 8,000 times 60 cents, and you're looking at probably close to $5,000 over 90 days that we've generated in free traffic to the website. So I want to talk about how to be number one on Google. That's the importance of content. But to be number one on Google, two different ways you can do it. One is through organic search, and I'm going to use a CotDoc example on that. And to do that, we use SEO, search engine optimization. We do things to the website particularly. And then Adwords and pay-per-click, which is a way that you can pay money to make sure that you're at the top of the list. And both of them are very dependent on content and keywords. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. CotDoc, this is kind of the same example I went through the other day, just going to use it a little differently. But here's CotDoc is one of our clients. They sell these Furno and Stryker stretcher parts. And specifically, we looked at how if you type in Stryker Power Pro parts, they come up number one. Okay, so that's one way to be number one in Google. We talked about that the other day, but having your keywords match up. So if you look, our Stryker's Power Pro parts page is all about Stryker Power Pro parts. Also, we had the page title and some of those other things, and meta tags we talked about. But I wanted to show you this, which I haven't shown you before, which is factors that Google considers in ranking. Now, this was reverse engineered. This was not published by Google, but somebody went through and did a study and looked at how different things impact your search ranking. And at the top of the list is Google Plus. Okay, if you're on Google Plus and people are plus wanting you, which is like liking you on Facebook, that's good for you. Google pays a lot of attention to that. They want to continue to build out their Google Plus and use it as a way to validate information on the internet. And so, of course, Facebook shares, backlinks. That's what I talked about, blogs linking back to you and things like that. Facebook likes, tweets, et cetera, et cetera. So all these things do have an impact on how you're rated. And you can do a certain amount of that for yourself, but ultimately, you can't retweet yourself thousands of times. So if you have thousands of people that will retweet you, you certainly have a good chance of being higher ranked. So anyway, long list of things that all have an impact on your search ranking. A couple of interesting things about search. So when people search, 33% of the people click on the first organic result. Okay, so there's a lot of benefit to being number one. Number two is about 18%. Number three is almost to 10%. So you're looking at a pretty steep decline there. So you definitely want to be in those top three if you can. But at the same time, you can see you can pick up some clicks, even ranked up to 8, 9, 10. Less than 9% of Google searches ever make it to second page. So nobody, very few go, let's say 9% go to the second page. So keep in mind, you want to be on page one. Another example from CotDoc, we were just showing how we were number one in another, but the same principle applies. The biggest reason there is that we have a really well-tuned site, but also that we're focused on a really tight niche, right? We're really way out on that long tail when you start talking about Striker Power Pro parts, because there's not hundreds or thousands of people that sell those. We became number one very quickly just by having that specific content. So that's one way. The second is using Google AdWords. And so I want to use another example. I'll give you a brief overview of Google AdWords. So AdWords is the advertising platform of Google, and it drives interested people to your website. And so that's the way Google says it, which I find really interesting. It drives interested people to your website, so they know who's interested. And primarily that's through keywords. Everything starts with this search. And when you search something on the internet, Google takes those keywords and tries to figure out from everything on the internet what is the most likely to satisfy the request. And so you end up with these results page, which if you look here, this one's a graphic from a Google presentation, but it's for window repair. And the part there that's kind of yellowish, pinkish, depending on which monitor I'm looking at, that little section there, that's generally paid ads. And actually this right sidebar is no longer used by Google. They've pretty much done away with the right sidebar. But nonetheless, being number one on Google, you can do it through a paid ad. And that's what that is. So you've got your organic search results, and then above them you have these paid advertisements. And the way that you set it up in Google AdWords is you go in and you tell Google what are the keywords that you want to be advertising for. And so in this example, window repair, window replacement, broken windows, window restoration, etc. So this window repair guy picks out the keywords that are just people that are looking for what he has. And as a result, when they type in window repair, his ad will show up at the top, possibly. Now, what I want to talk to you about a little bit is how thinking, it's not as easy, unfortunately. Some people think it should be, but it's not. It's not as easy as just like opening up your wallet and buying the top spot, because Google wants to put information at the top that's most likely to get clicked on, right? Remember, they make money from clicks. This specific example I wanted to show you, when you type in this Mitsubishi Fuso FE transmission, there's actually two items that come up, and I'm just doing this again to point out the difference between a paid advertisement and a organic search result. So red is paid, it has the word ad there, and then the purple is organic result. All right, so here's an example where I want to try to explain to you how important it is for Google that your Google AdWords are really finely tuned. And so in this particular case, if we're looking at a specific search term like Mitsubishi Fuso FE transmission, you'll notice that our advertisement for that, our advertisement for that says Mitsubishi Fuso transmissions for Fuso, FE, FG, FH, and FK. So we've got pretty much all of the words from this search are showing up in our title. And that's really good. Also, if you look at our URL, it goes to Mitsubishi Fuso /transmissions. I mean, it's a perfect match on the URL. And so that's a really good thing. Imagine an alternative, a competitor who hasn't taken the time to create a specific ad for Mitsubishi Fuso transmissions. So what they do is they just say Mitsubishi Fuso parts, and it goes to it goes to their home page, let's say. Well, if you compare this alignment, okay, if you look, this search matches the AdWords, matches the content on my page. Well, in my example of a competitor, if they just had Mitsubishi parts, that's not nearly as good of a match as my ad. And so just because of that matching, they might put my ad above the other. And in fact, they would very often give me a better rate because I have a higher quality score, I have a higher click-through rate, I'm more likely to get clicked on. So Google would rather put me at number one, even though maybe I bid 80 cents and you bid $1. Uh, Google very likely would put me at number one because let's just say I have a 5% click-through rate and you have a 1%. That means I would be 5 times more likely to get a click. So they'd rather get 5 clicks at 80 cents than 1 click at $1. So again, tuning your AdWords, putting a lot of time in to focus this on very specific uh, searches, very specific landing pages, and very specific ads to bring them together. That makes a huge difference and a very positive effect on your Google AdWords budget. The other thing on the landing page, I just wanted to say, when people get to your landing page, what do they do? What do you want them to do? So we've spent a good bit of time working on that, and on these Buzzbee pages, for example, we want one of two things. We want them to either call, and so you can see there's a call now link, or we want them to fill out this form. So that's the whole that we call those conversions. That's how we measure conversion. So a conversion means we had an ad, they clicked our ad, they came to our page, and then they didn't just walk away, they actually filled out a form or gave us a call. The two of the key measurements, I probably should have shown this and talked about this before I started talking about click-through rates, but two of the main measurements that we use in Google AdWords is click-through rate and cost per click. So the click-through rate means how likely are people to click. Out of 100 times presented, how many times will people click? And so we always want to be improving that. And so in this example, you can see we go from 1.5% to 3%. And you can also see that our cost per click, how much we're paying for these clicks, went down. And so these are things that we work on all the time. Sometimes it doesn't always work exactly like this. This is like an ideal example. But that's what we intend to do, generally speaking. And usually by focusing on the click-through rate, you ultimately end up getting more for your money as well. All right, so we talked about how to be number one on Google, the two ways being organic and AdWords, and we talked about content. And so I'm about to wrap up here. Once again, we talked about content strategy and search strategy today. Next week, we'll be talking about email strategy, along with how that relates to content, and also we'll start talking about e-commerce and how you can do transactions online and do more business online. And so with that, I am going to open it up to questions on the chat room. I will sit here for a minute. And Marjorie, if there's anything out there, let me know. Just leave that chat box open for a minute. Okay, well, I think we can end the recording, Angela.